Welcome to House to Home. I'm Clyde Hawsey along with my special friend Guy Gifford with the Department of Natural Resources, and this is House to Home Outdoors. It's that time of the year, the sun is out and we're outside, and I am very much so aware of and trying to bring you aware of some fire dangers around your home. You know, we talk about being out in the woods, Guy. We came in town, in the city, and I want to show you something that we should always be aware of, that it isn't the big forest that's on fire, but it's the embers that come from the forest on fire that could cause this little spruce tree to be a real burning hazard. And what's right above it? Oh, another pine tree. Oh, and there's more trees above it. Guy, there's just no end to it, is there?
There is no end. And one thing that people don't realize is over half our homes aren't lost from flames burning the home, but from what you just described, the ember shower dropping on something and finding that, I call them ember catchers. Catch that ember, start it on fire, and the fire starts going. And those embers can travel over a mile from a wildfire. So that's why even places like this are can be very at risk when we have a fire just a little ways up the hill.
And the wind always comes normally from the southwest, but It can change. But my point that I want to bring about here is that, folks, you need to be aware of what is around you. We came to visit one of our producers' homes, and he lives on the South Hill, and I said, this is across the street. What are you doing around here to keep the fire danger down? Or someone, hate to say it, flipping a cigarette out and it ends up here. We got to be aware of what's around us. I love the screening here because it does give some privacy. But be aware of what it is. Know what it is. It is bamboo. It's going to just, I don't know how fast it could fly, but it would be gone.
And as firefighters, you know, we call this big wall of fuel, we call it a wick. Fire starts one spot and it carries it to the home.
Okay. Well, and the other thing is, go out and review your trees. And I don't know if we can catch this, Vinny, but if we can be looking how trees stack upon the one on top of the other, and identify how they sit there and they just lean one to the other. And if one of them starts, you're going to have a whole array of fuel taking place. And that, we haven't even talked about our real subject I want to talk about. Let's go back and take a look around the home itself and identify some things that you can be doing to help you when you need to. So let's go over here and take a look at this, Vinny.
Okay.
Guy, we're here at the front of the house here, and this is a wood deck, and folks, you need to identify, this is just nothing unusual that I see all around. What are the positive things there? Let's talk about those first.
The positive things, one is the deck has Trex non-wood, very good. The mulch is non-burnable mulch, the underlayment, which is the rock. So that's gravel. A great starting point, this gravel mulch that they have.
But I want to point out, look at the dry rot here.
Yes, this dry rot is what we call an ember catcher. An ember, or if you think of it as a single match, could a single match on ember start that on fire? The obvious answer is yes, it could very easily start on fire. So keeping your stuff maintained is the key to success. So just replacing this with a non-dry rotted piece of wood would be a recommended step, and it'll keep the deck life longer too.
Well, and also you were identifying as we walked up here, there's things on the deck that need to be looked at this time of the year that possibly could be a problem if we did have some embers coming this way.
There's a lot of things we call ember catchers on the deck next to the home. It could be the doormat. Is that flammable from a match? Or here they have a very nice decorative basket full of pine cones. And again, that's an ember catcher to us. Now we got 8 to 10 inch flames next to the wooden sided house, next to the wooden deck. So that's where our ignition would start and the fire would expand from that pine cone basket.
What he's pointing out is nothing that is unusual. You can see this almost anywhere you want to go. I'm also going to point out that I see dry pine needles underneath this deck here. You need to go in and rake those out underneath the deck. Get them out, get the fuel away from the home, right?
That's the key, and generally we recommend having it done by the 4th of July. So once you're done by the 4th of July, you're usually good for fire season.
Well, I was doing some things the other night at my own home, and I have an old fir tree that had pine cones underneath it. I don't know how many years, but it was a whole depth of pine cones. You need to get the fuel away from the trees and even branch them up a little bit. When we came up around here, you pointed out something, was the garbage cans. Let's go take a look at that. I didn't even think about it. Guy, let's take a look at that and identify it. Okay, Guy, I said we're going to look at the garbage cans. Tell me what you see here.
What I see from the garbage can standpoint is ember catchers. This is open, and oftentimes things in the garbage can easily start on fire, just like the recycling bin. Right now, the recycling bin is great, it's closed. But the nice thing, the solution is relatively easy on a lot of things. You just push it down, it's problem solved.
So we're not going to be embers blowing into here, and that's going to be resolved. Otherwise, this is going to be where the fire is going to start inside.
And it's right here at the corner, next to our pine cones, next to the wooden deck.
Hey, we know all the rest of it that's going to go. Now, one that I have not thought of, and you brought it out, is the doorstop at the bottom of the garage door. If that isn't correct or sealed properly, guess where the embers go?
They'll get underneath the door. One of the things about Spokane County, we get a lot of wind-driven events. So a lot of embers are coming sideways at 10, 15 miles an hour. Think of that going underneath your deck, underneath your door here, and how far those embers can get in the garage and what's in there.
Well, and so it's this time of the year you need to get that replaced. Go ahead and put a new one down. It's going to save you heat in the wintertime, or it's going to keep your garage warm. So it's a two-way reaching point, but replace the old stop that's on the bottom. They're very cheap and inexpensive to do, and fix the garage door so it's going to be good and not have the embers, because when that wind is whirling, it can whirl it underneath. Guy, I want to take you to the backyard, and let's go look at that back deck, because that's one of the things that we all have. We all have not taken the time. You told me you did yours. Yeah, right. Well, he's ahead of us, but we're all going to join him pretty soon. So, Guy, let's go back and take a look at it. Guy, I said we wanted to come back and look at the deck. This is a normal deck behind the home. The ground slopes this direction. And what do we have underneath here?
We have a lot of pine needles. And the other thing with pine needles here is look at the deck, as you said, slope. Here, the wood is quite a ways away from the ground, but as we moved up to the front of the deck, now those 2 to 3 inch flames can start the wood on fire, which will carry it to the house. And so it's getting all those pine needles raked away so that they can't catch the embers to start on fire right at this location.
Now right behind you is a stack of firewood, which Vinny's going to keep his home nice and warm on Christmas vacation time. But again, you got to be aware where you're stacking your firewood, right? You
got to be aware, because this is, again, dry wood is an ember catcher, and this connects to the fence. And now we have that wicking reaction. Once the fence goes, this fence is connected to all the neighbors' fence. So now we have one location where the fire could start, and the carrier of the fence can carry the fire to like 4 houses in this neighborhood. Because I noticed all the wooden fences were connected to other homes. So now we got that wick going through the neighborhood.
Well, I want to point out to you on this, Guy, that we notice the neighbors' rain gutters are full of pine needles because we have pine trees all around us here and all through our yards. We need to identify and just do a survey of your home. Like underneath this deck here, I mean, I think this is great. You need to take your rake. I mean, no one can crawl underneath there, and you're not going to have someone do it. Take the rake, reach as far as you can underneath it and pull it out, right?
That is one thing. The other thing sometimes what people recommend once you do that is you can actually put a screen here, 1/8 inch mesh screen. That'll help prevent the embers from the sides getting in, but you also got to remember the top here. And if you're going to put the screen, because embers can actually drop in here. So really you got to get all the needles underneath here because embers can drop between the boards. Actually, Trex, if you actually read the installation guide, in the Wildland Urban Interface, which is what we call this, they recommend 1/8 inch spacing for Wildland Urban Interface code between these pieces versus the 1/4 inch, which you can use in a non-Wildland Urban Interface spacing.
And the reason is to
keep the embers. If an ember falls through, it's going to be small. Small embers generate less heat, less likely to start things on fire. When we're talking about a lot of this work, we're playing a percentage game. We're trying to reduce the percentage of your home getting lost in a wildfire.
Well, you know, Guy, we started this conversation. I said, I want to talk about the urban home and I want to talk about the home in town that says, well, I'll never have a problem. I'm not out in the woods. Well, we are in the woods. We have pine trees. We have spruce trees. We have trees around us. We have fuel all around us, and we need to identify that. And we all need to go ahead and take the time, as you and I are going to say, and of course you brought it up, is until July the 4th, that's going to be our deadline. Let's get these projects taken care of and identify where that fire pile is at. The other thing is I'm saying weed whackers around your fence. we'd whack the weeds down before they all dry down, right?
Yes, because one of the things about whacking weeds, when they're this tall, I'm going to get 12, 18, 24-inch flames. When you cut them down, the fields here, now I'm going to get smaller flames. If they can remove that dead vegetation, it's even better. But just cutting it down is step A. Removing it would be step B if they have enough time to do that step as well.
Well, the other thing is, folks, I want you to do one other thing is to go through your home this between now and July the 4th or shortly thereafter, and I want you to take your camera and I want you to take pictures of your home, exterior of your home, interior of the home, and you're going to see some things I didn't see that before until now. And identify those things, but it also gives you a record in case something does happen. Because embers, let's talk about it, and you're the expert on it with DNR. They can travel a long ways distance for those that may just be joining us late here, but they can travel a long ways, right?
They can actually travel over a mile, and that's very, very common. They've actually jumped the Columbia River before.
Wow, wow. So, folks, it's not just happening out in the woods, it's happening here in your neighborhood, and you need to be part of this solving the problem, right, Guy?
Yeah.
Any other tips you want to say from Department of Natural Resources that I say thank you. We didn't have a fire to go to today, and you're here on time. But any other thoughts?
The key thing is everything a person does around their home like this helps. It reduces that chance. So there's nothing too small that can't be taken care of. A lot of the things we shared today are 1, 2, 3-minute tasks. Doing a couple of those a week, be amazed what you can get done in a couple of weeks.
Well, the other thing is I noticed in the front yard here we had a couple dead shrubs. Take your pruners and prune them out, right?
Yeah.
Get rid of that stuff. Get the foundations clean. Get the bark mulch. If you've got bark mulch, bring it back at least 2 to 3 feet away from the foundation, right?
Yes, bring that bulk mulch, that flammable mulch away from that foundation, and ideally replace it with rock as you do more maintenance, but getting away from the foundation or anything that is wooden based.
Okay. Folks, you've got a lot of things to do. You know, that's one of the things here we do on House to Home. We bring you experts in. Thanks to DNR. Thank you, Guy. You're always there at the drop of the flare, because you're here to help us out and to help us to keep our house as we make it a house to home outdoors and enjoy it. So until next time, we'll see you then. Clyde Hosey, Guy Gifford, DNR. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.